Am I the astronaut, putting my wife on a strict allowance and making her ask me permission to buy expensive things? I mean, it's not a good start, but we'll wait. When we married, we decided not to fully combine our finances. We have a shared account in which I fund 3/4 and she funds 1/4. We use this account to pay the mortgage, utilities, groceries, etc. We also have our separate accounts where we deposit the rest of our money. We're responsible for our own investments and cars. Things worked well for a couple of years until recently when she came to me crying. Turns out my wife is not good with her money and owes $150,000 spread over several credit cards and her car loan. Unless she wins the lottery, there's no way she would be able to pay off her debt, and I didn't want her to mess up her credit by declaring bankruptcy. I decided to loan her the money to pay off the debt on strict conditions. I will take over her finances, including receiving her income. She will be placed on a strict allowance and budget. She will have to ask permission to buy anything over $50 and have to go by my judgment. Once she pays me back the money, she can take control of her own finances. She argued against the conditions until I pointed out that I didn't have $150,000 in cash stuffed in the couch. I will have to sell some assets, including stocks that are currently performing well. If I loan her the money, it will cost me money. She finally agreed. This weekend, we were at a dinner party where after too many drinks, some of the women decided they wanted to take a girls' trip a few weekends from now. My wife turned to ask me if she could go, and I answered no, it's not in her budget. I'll spare you the details of the argument that erupted, but the too long don't read version is that I'm a misogynist pig who keeps her on a leash. Some argued I should have bailed her out without conditions because there should be none in a marriage. The hurtful part is that she didn't once defend me. So was I wrong to put these conditions on her? I mean, you didn't force any conditions on her, right? She willingly accepted the conditions because it came with a positive. The positive that it came with was you bailing her out, but there had to be something to make up for the opportunity cost there. So yeah, I mean, we don't do the separate finances thing, and this is one of the reasons why. I feel like money gets tricky, and if you're loaning money to your partner, I can't imagine a more messy situation. It's like, that's why they say, don't loan money to friends and family, or I don't know. But this seems like the messiest, most uncomfortable kind of situation that you could be in with your partner. And she goes out and gets schnockered with her girls, and then it comes out to the girls about it. And of course, the girls want to tear you down. Of course, it's all torches and pitchforks now at this point because they don't have the context. They don't have the context of the conversation earlier. They don't have the context of how she got into this position. They just think that you're controlling her as a misogynist, just being a complete, just thumb right on her. It's basically what was it? Handmaiden's Tale. Is that what it was called? Help me out, Tony Spark, pop culture. Handmaiden's Tale? Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's extremely controlling. Well, it's perceived to be extremely controlling here. I don't know what the right move here would have been. She definitely didn't do the right thing by not correcting anybody and letting them light the torches and get out the pitchforks, because you're doing her a favor here. I guess you can retract this deal. You can retract it and say, do what you want, but you're screwed. The unfortunate part is that you're married to her, so you're probably screwed too, right? Because if it's a married couple, even though she incurred this debt on her own, aren't you on the hook for it as well? Her so-called friends need to know that she has a debt that he bailed her out on. Yeah, that's the context. That if you just heard this part on its own, like, yeah, she has to run every purchase above $50 by her husband, and whatever he says goes, and he receives her checks and handles everything for her. That information by itself, yes, seems very, very bad. In the context of how they got to that point, that's the understanding that everybody who's making a judgment on this within her friend group is missing. You cannot make a judgment on this situation with just that piece of information and expect to have any kind of clear understanding about what's going on. The wife should have asked him privately instead of in front of her friends. Princess Heather, I would agree with that. I think the smart move on her part would have been, let me think about it and let me see if I can actually afford to do it, and I'll let you guys know later. That would have been the smart move, instead of turning around and looking at Daddy and saying, Daddy, can I? And him being like, no. And then everybody being like, you can't tell her no. She's an independent woman. They're all sauced, remember? The friend group is all sauced. They're all out drinking. This is the most dangerous situation you could ever put yourself in. I understand that OP, your intentions were noble here, but this is just one of the most volatile, uncomfortable situations I have ever heard of between a married couple. And that's... Yeah, she didn't learn anything because having freshly got herself into this situation, I can't imagine someone who really was interested in getting out of that situation asking to go on this trip in the first place. But let's talk about this for a second. As a married couple, if you had separate finances and your spouse came to you and asked, would you bail your spouse out? I mean, what would we do there? Is hubby in the wrong here for creating a structure that helps bail her out while also teaching her to fish? I don't feel like it is, because I feel like, I mean, he came from a noble place. I don't know. Execution here was just sloppy. And that's not on him. He tried to do the right thing. He added structure here, but didn't think about the social ramifications to it. Selena, I agree. She just proved that she can't be responsible. And shortly after, he extended this olive branch and extended a solution path for her to climb out of this hole. She immediately tries to go deeper into it and then makes him seem like the bad guy for trying to help her by not providing the context of how they got to this point. I don't feel like he sucks here for doing this. I feel like this is all on her. However, OP, NTA, in my book here, where does the wife go? Where does wifey end up for letting him take the fall, for letting her girls light the torches and pitchforks and come after him for trying to help her? I feel like it's pretty freaking bad. It's at least a 2. Definitely shouldn't have done it. Is it a 1? Is this a 1 kind of thing? Is it just terrible? Oh, Danny, if she did it on purpose, for sure it's a 1. I feel like we are here for a couple of reasons. I feel like she's at a 1 because she got herself into this mess without communicating about it in the first place until it was way past the point of no return. He offers a plan, offers her a way out. There are some conditions involved that she accepted, and then made him seem like the devil for imposing those conditions in the first place and not speaking up and letting everybody think something that isn't accurate at all about him. I feel like she has a responsibility at this point, if she wants to remain married to you, OP, to go clean up that mess and to set everyone straight. And who knows how many people they've all told at this point. Again, only knowing half the story. It is her responsibility to clean up that mess. And if she can clean up that mess, cool. Come back. Let's learn a lesson. Take it as a learning moment here and not step in that pile of shit again. If she is not willing to do that, I think your original offer is redacted. I think you take it back. Look, when I try to help you, my hand gets bit, so I'm not going to help you.